Hey Beth. Oh, here I'm still muted.
There we go. How are
How are you?
you?
I'm doing good.
Good. I'm good. Summer is here.
Yep. Hold on my window.
Yeah, I just opened up the house. Today was nice, actually. I know you might not be in the area, but today was in the 80s and it was actually, kind of nice, but it's
Yeah, it's yeah, definitely. I feel like summer has. Well, we just passed the solstice, right? It was like super hot. I think the sun wins.
right. Yeah, it's all downhill from here.
Right.
We're headed towards Christmas at this point.
How many more shopping days do we have?
You better get out there. You better get going.
What are we doing? We're on the Concom meeting. We should be out.
Hitting the stores. Uh, but yeah, I feel like I close up the house, and turn on the mini split with the either just the dehumidifier or maybe the air conditioning. And then you get to a certain hour where you feel like you can open all the windows up like at night. But today it was nice most of the day, so it was good. It was good. As long as we don't head into any kind of drought type stuff, I'm I'm happy. So far so good. Let's see. I see Jan and Bob is here too, which means we can open our meeting. All right, it's 7 p.m. on June 27th, 2024, and I'm calling this meeting of the Shutesbury Conservation Commission to order. This meeting is being recorded. And see, our first thing's at 7:15. I have a couple announcements. One is I think you guys all saw my email that Carrie's leaving. So sad. She's been great. You've been great, Carrie, and it's a loss, I feel like, to the town of Shutesbury. But your job that you're going to sounds great, and happy for you.
Thank you.
Uh, yeah, and I don't know, maybe do you want to just mention sort of how you're planning to do your hours for the next couple weeks?
Yeah. So, um, I will be starting my new job on July 8th, which is a lot faster than I was anticipating. So next week will be my last week in the office. Typically I would be there Tuesday, Thursday. I still plan on coming Tuesday, but Thursday is the 4th of July. So I don't think the town hall will even be open. But I do plan on coming up a little bit Friday morning, afternoonish for maybe like 3 or 4 hours, just doing last minute things. After that, I will still have the laptop that I've been using since I'm here. I plan to do some catch up on the minutes. I'll still answer emails here and there when I can. I still plan on doing like the agendas. I believe Janice is very graciously taking over minutes until possibly the new hire the same month. Um, and yeah, I don't know if anyone's had a chance to check out the Excel sheets that I shared, but that'll also be very helpful for everyone during this time. I'll still fill in stuff as they come in, but yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it basically means Carrie's going to kind of overlap, hopefully, with the new hire. And she's going to, keep doing all the many things that she does for a little bit. That includes like legal ads and the billing for the legal ads and working with people about their butter notifications and all that. So thank you, Carrie, for being willing to help out over the next couple weeks. So there has been somebody who came forward because Carrie's job's been advertised for a while, actually. because she had been thinking of going. And so somebody did come forward, and so we're interviewing that person next week. So hopefully, cross your fingers that that works out, because person's the only person I know of who's come forward. And if that all works out, then it'll be great, because we'll get him on board soon enough that he and Carrie can kind of overlap, and Carrie can really show him where everything is. I actually stopped by town hall today and talked with Carrie a little more about the organization of the office there, and she's doing a huge project right now to get it even more organized before she leaves, which is awesome. Yeah, so that's where we're at with that. And yeah, thank you, Jan, for offering to take minutes on the 11th and the 25th. Yay. That was nice of you. Other announcements, I'm assuming you guys all saw that we got an email from FERCog about a workshop series they're offering on, what did they call it? Resilient Rivers and Watersheds. I mean, if anybody's interested, I might try to go. It looks like they provided 3 different dates for the workshop, same workshop. They're just offering it 3 times. It's sounds like it's going to be about providing towns with tools and ideas for dealing with stormwater management and water quality of resource areas. So tools for planning boards, CBAs, and conservation commissions. So I think it was, yeah, July 17th, 24th, and 31st. If anybody's interested, I think I might try to go to one of them. I'm not sure which one, but so there's that. The other thing is Jan also volunteered so nicely to sort of be in charge of site visits. You know, really, we should be doing original site visit when an application comes in before we open the public hearings. Then we should be doing pre-construction site visits to inspect erosion control before construction starts. If it's a big enough project, you know, we may want to do a site visit during construction just to make sure things are okay. And then there's the inspection after a project is complete to make sure vegetation's grown in, to really let the applicant know that everything that they completed their project in accordance with the order of conditions, and that they can remove their erosion control, and that we can issue them a certificate of compliance. So those are all the types of site visits. And so Jan is going to be our site visit leader and just organize them, I guess, is kind of the main thing. When we get applications in, she would reach out to set up a date for the site visit, and then let us all know when it is, and try to do the scheduling for that initial site visit, do the site visit inspection form. And then when the project opens, you know, she can be the one that can describe what happened at the site visit, what the site looked like, because that's always a good part of when a hearing opens and we start talking about the project. It's great to be able to have a little description of an actual site visit. So thanks, Jan. I think that's great, because that was one of the things that was starting to kind of fall behind. Definitely, with everything going on, hadn't been doing the site inspection forms. I'd been organizing site visits, and we've been trying to go see the sites and everything, but we hadn't been doing the forms. So that'll be super helpful. And I guess no minutes tonight, because Carrie's gonna spend a little time catching up on them before she leaves, but we don't have any to review tonight. And those are all my announcements. Does anybody have any other announcements? No. Yeah. Bob, are you driving in a car? Now I'm making him crash by making him unmute.
Hopefully he's riding.
Anyway, he looks like he is. Looks very busy. Looks very busy. Just some other information. This is more from my job, is that the town of Amherst just bought a little piece of land in Shutesbury for watershed protection. I got a grant, Drinking Water Supply Protection Grant. It's a state grant from DEP. It's about 11 acres on Sand Hill Road, right across from the Houston Gage Conservation Area. I don't know if you guys have ever, if you're going along Sand Hill Road, if you're heading out of Shutesbury, on the left is this, it's marked, there's one of those white Town of Amherst Conservation Area signs, a wooden sign says Houston Gage, and there's a trail, and there's a little tiny little parking area, maybe for like 1 to 2 cars at the most on the left side. And if you haven't been to Houston Gage, that's a nice conservation area. It has a trail. And anyway, across the street from Houston Gage, where the grade of this, there's a pretty steep slope actually, is where this new piece of land is. And like I said, it's about 11 acres. Same family, the Gage family. They wanted to preserve some more land. And so they asked if the town was interested. So we wrote a grant, got the grant, and town council just approved the appropriation last Monday. And so we're basically all lined up to get the grant, get the town money, and buy the land. So that's exciting. Preserved.
Did you say you bought land in the town of Shutesbury?
Town of,
The
town of Amherst.
Amherst bought?
Yep, we bought 11 acres on Sand Hill Road. It's right across from the Houston Gage
And-
Conservation.
Is it, did you buy it to be like watershed protection, or was it just a good deal in the town of Amherst?
No, yeah, I mean, we bought it for watershed protection, so we got a state
Okay.
grant under the Drinking Water Supply Protection Grant Program. So when you do that, when you use that grant money, you have to put a conservation restriction on it and declare that the land is for drinking water protection. And so that's kind of the path we took. You know, the family came, wanted to preserve it, so we looked at the methods of doing that, and that's the way the town went with it. So that's exciting. Yeah, it's still only 7-Eleven. Yeah, it has, I'll just keep talking about it. It has, 2 streams that come across it, which are Zone A for drinking water protection, which is all the tributaries to the Atkins Reservoir are, mapped as Zone A, watershed protection land. So they have special protection. The Zone A goes, 50 feet on either side of a tributary to a surface water that's used for drinking water. So this parcel's got those, and they actually flow right into the Dean Brook across the street, which is like the primary water source for Atkins Reservoir. So it was definitely an appropriate piece of land to buy for drinking water protection. And what else do I know?
Beth, if we're still killing time,
We
can I
are.
ask you a question about 2 MVPs that Amherst did? There was one, I think it was the campus pond was silting in, and I think the same thing for Puffer's Pond. And MVP grants were applied for by the town, is that correct?
I don't think they applied this year for puffers. They were thinking of applying this year MVP for puffers, but I'm not sure they did. because I know what we did apply for is more money to replace some culverts. We got MVP last year to do the design and permitting to replace 3 culverts. And that's all done, just finished that up. And so we applied for FY 25 for the money for construction. I don't think they applied for MVP for puffers because I know that they actually, Amherst actually applied for the seawall and dam improvement or whatever it is, state grant for puffers this year. I think that
That's
was
probably
their,
the one I heard about.
yeah, that's the FY 25 application. Scott, you have your hand up.
It's on something different, but I was just following up on our meeting from last night, and I know we got partway through talking about the regs. I'm just wondering if maybe we would have a little bit of time just talk about next steps for that. When we would timeline for review and what we were thinking collectively. So just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, I have that. That's on the agenda for tonight. And I guess I didn't feel like we probably had enough time right now to get into it, but no, that's what what is it? It's yeah, it's after all of our hearings, our time stuff tonight. It's on the agenda. So yeah, I wanted to
Thank you.
talk about that. Yeah. Next steps. All right, it's 7:15. So number 2 on our agenda, 5759 Shore Drive, DEP file 286-0300. This is a request for a minor administrative approval. And I see Doug.
Hi, folks.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for the introduction, Beth. My name is Doug Searle. I work with Berkshire Design Group. I'm here tonight on behalf of Donna and Gary West with 5759 Shore Drive. We were in attendance on a previous hearing in May, and we had presented revised plans for an amended order of conditions. And a small when we received the amended order of conditions, there were comments in there that we saw that were related to the garage, and the homeowners had previously stated earlier in the winter and the spring that they did not have the funds to build the garage, and they wanted it included in the permit in case they were to get it. And the previous site plan labeled the garage area of the proposed house as future garage. And then not long after the last hearing with the amended order of conditions, they came back and said, actually, we'd like to keep the garage on the plans. And so that's essentially the gist of it. Nothing else has changed. May I share my screen?
Yes.
All right, hold on one second here to do that. Here's the button. That larger. Okay, so the previously approved plan, I'm going to click to that right now. Can everybody see this screen?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. I'll zoom in a little bit, just a little more legible. This area labeled future garage that was discussed and included in the amended order of conditions as to just be an extension of the gravel driveway. The owners would like to make this not future, but part of the new residence. And so I sent earlier today, we submitted this plan, which is the identical plan, except the one change is the word, the label here is garage versus future garage. And just for kind of clarification, we just extended the color hatch to show that it's part of the residence. Otherwise, nothing in the site plan aside from that label change has occurred. In the amended order of conditions document itself, we wanted to request just this is the minor administrative change was the word garage in the findings of fact F1A. The sentence reads, changing the layout and footprint of the house, including removal of the garage, storage room, retaining wall on the north side of the building, and addition of a raised deck on piers on the southwest corner of the building. These changes decrease the overall footprint of the house. The former garage will now be part of the gravel driveway. We simply request that you remove the first mention of the garage so that it would say including removal of the storage room instead of the garage, since they want to keep that as part of the new residence, the new dwelling. And then the very last sentence, this is a former garage will now be part of the gravel driveway, to omit that sentence in this amended order of conditions. And then on, I think it's F13 or 14, it refers to a plan. It's F13G, simply refers to the site plan, and just wanted to request that it simply refer to this revised site plan with this new call out just saying garage. But otherwise, that is the minor administrative change request we wanted to make today.
Okay, great. Thanks for presenting.
Sure, of course.
I have no concerns or questions. Do any of the other commissioners?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Doug, can you stop sharing?
Absolutely.
Thank you. There, now I can see people. Okay, if there aren't any questions or anything, then we just need a motion to approve and issue the administrative approval, what we're calling it, yeah, administrative approval for the change to the plan and the change to the amended order of conditions as stated.
So motioned.
Second?
Second.
All right. Con,
Aye.
Douglas,
Aye.
Rowan,
Aye.
and Wilson. Aye. All right, so I'll put together an administrative approval, which is really just a letter stating those things, which
Okay.
then will go to you and go to DEP.
Wonderful.
That's basically how that works. So
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for your time. Appreciate this very much.
thank you.
All right, take care.
Well, that was easy. All right. Yeah, I thought last night's meeting went pretty well. I thought it was so great of Miriam and Janice to put that much work into the regulations.
Great. For all the time we've spent on the first round of regs and the bylaw, it's just amazing. There's still so much to kind of work through and talk about.
I know.
A lot of work, and but I too was very appreciative of all the work that they have put into it to make it and to frame up the conversation.
Yeah, me too. And I think I mentioned last night that at our next meeting, Donna McNichol's gonna come and just go through the Attorney General's comments, which were pretty minimal, but just to get her sort of almost like approval of of those would be great. Time is it? 7:23.
So Madam Chairman, it's Penny here. Since we're not an official public hearing, can we go ahead and present our information for the library? Or do you want to wait till 7:30?
Yes, you can. I'm fine. I think I'm fine with that. That sounds great.
I'm frantically packing to catch a plane early tomorrow morning, so as
Oh,
I love spending time with you guys. I've got competing interests tonight. So I have a couple of updates for everyone. The contract for construction of the library has been signed and construction,
woohoo.
oh, Yahoo. Construction will likely start sometime in July, and Mary Ann has scheduled a groundbreaking ceremony on Friday, August 2nd. If any of you can come, we'd love to have you there.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. And then, so once again, as the commission required in the order of conditions for the library construction notice of intent, we submitted a trash and debris plan, which we have completed. I think everyone saw the lovely pictures of the remarkable amount of stuff we found, and this is after many truckloads have been hauled away previously. So I'm
Oh.
sure.
That was impressive.
I know. I'm sure we'll find more, and we'll keep looking, and we'll keep carting it away, but that felt like a real milestone to get that done. And then for the invasive species plan, which you guys okayed at the last meeting, step 1 has been complete. Brian Colleran came last week and sprayed, I think it's Aquaneat, on the plants that we talked about. And we will start hand pulling things soon. One interesting thing regarding the construction project is once the contractor begins, we don't really have access to the area within the limit of work. So we'll have to see how that all goes. And that brings us to the two things we're here to talk about tonight. We have the plant list, which I presented to you, and I thought hopefully that is fairly quick. We can just talk about that. I
Yeah.
don't, if people have opinions, things they'd love to see on there, plants they don't love. We're open to suggestions.
Yeah, sure. I think I looked at it and thought it looked great, but if you want, did you want to share the list?
Well,
Look
I
at it.
can. I'm not very good at sharing, but I can try. I have it up here on my screen. If you give me shareability.
Yeah, Carrie, can you give her shareability?
Yes, I think I made her co-host. If there's any troubles, I can probably share it if needed.
Where is it? There it is. Can you see it?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe we were seeing,
It's funny, I can't see it on my screen. Is it not sharing properly?
it's, what I see is a list of, it says tree species and common name, but then
Yeah.
everything to the right, I can't see anything else, but that's
Okay.
all we,
Yeah, I don't know why I can't move anything around right now. There, is that better?
Oh, yep.
yep.
Okay. So, there are some pretty cool trees in there. Liriodendron is the tulip poplar is a tree that I love. And so I was happy to see that that was added by the landscape architect. And the others are all things that are, I imagine, pretty common to you. The shrubs, it's a range of shrubs that like wetter conditions and drier conditions. Several rhododendrons. There'll be a sort of a screening hedge of rhododendron maxima along the east boundary to screen the abutter on that side. And then the herbaceous plants, there are many on the list, and I mean, we can talk about them, or you can just, sorry.
No, it looks great. I love Joe Pye weed.
I love Joe Pye weed too, and
I was gonna say the same thing. I was happy to see that. I didn't know about any of the milkweeds. If you guys had
I don't
thought
think
about
we're,
those.
I don't think we're planned, well, I think we're scheduled to plant, sorry. Oh, I think we will likely put in, oh gosh, I'm blanking on the name, the orange perennial milkweed around the building. Other things will be replanted in the field as time goes on. So they won't be landscape plants right around the building, but they will be present on the site once work is complete.
Yeah, that's great. And they can always be, I mean, it'd be a great thing for kids or other folks to raise those and plant them later on. But I thought your list looked great.
Good, okay.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I'm excited about it. I've been growing native plants in my yard for a long, long time. So I'm excited to see how the landscaping on this site turns out with all native plants. That should be fun.
Yeah,
Definitely. I wish I could start over with my yard and have a list like this.
Well, so don't we all? I mean, we all know so much more now than we did when we started.
Yeah. Starting new is always kind of fun.
Yeah, so I will stop sharing that. And then the the landscaping long-term maintenance plan, just as a reminder, this in the special order, the special condition, the commission requested that the plan include maintenance methods, replacement of dead and unsuccessful plantings, and who will do maintenance work and frequency. And I will tell you that the plan was put together by the landscape architect. And I think it includes a lot of things that perhaps you're not that interested in. Things like when you mow, mow at 180 degree or in a different direction each time you mow. There's a lot of information in there like that that are important to a landscape architect, but maybe not so important to the commission. I think the things that are more significant are just sort of the plan of how things will be installed and how they will be maintained over the long term. And the landscape architect wrote the portion on how the meadows will be maintained. And I'm interested in your feedback on that. It's actually a hard thing to do to install a meadow. So starting with a raw surface like we have, I think will be a good way to do it. I don't know if you've read through that and you have any thoughts about what they have proposed.
Nope, guilty.
Well,
Do you want to share it? Do you have that on your computer?
well, it's 9 pages.
Right, it's not that long. I should have read it. I feel
Yeah,
like
I mean, it's yeah, I'll try. Yeah, I have it. Just a second. Let me.
or if you want to just sort of summarize, because you're right. What what we're really concerned about is that there sort of is a plan for it to be maintained over time. And it's a plan that people can do, because I guess who's going to do it and what's the schedule for being done and who's going to do it can actually do what this landscape architect is saying, is it more complicated than just the average librarian can do.
Well, I think, we actually talked with them a lot because I think I shared that concern. I in particular shared that concern and, things were modified some to address that. So the contractor will install all of the seated areas, and that includes the tiny bit of lawn right around the building. Maybe, Carrie, do you have the plan handy?
The landscaping one, right?
The landscape maintenance plan?
Yeah, I should be able to bring that up.
If you could bring that up and maybe go to page 9. Which is the drawing, the site plan that shows the different areas.
Sorry, I used my space bar to unmute, but that's not helping me at the moment.
Uh,
Let me see if I can make it single page and then 9.
Yeah, and unfortunately, 9 seems to be a larger format page than everything else. So, well, oh, there it is. Okay. So you can see the building and the driveway. And then there's the area that is sort of brownish gold colored is the raised septic system. And the blue areas are the stormwater basins. And then that sort of lime green area surrounding everything is what's called a low meadow mix. And I think it's a mix of fescues. It's meant to be something that doesn't require a lot of maintenance. And it's designed to be mowed only once or twice a year. Although if you read the plan carefully, they talk about how in the first year or two, as everything's getting established, it requires a little bit of mowing to get it started. And we have talked with the highway department. Well, let me step back and say the contractor is installing all of those areas that are seeded, and those are the ones we just talked about. The dark green area at the very bottom of the page is the restored wetland. And that's outside the limit of work, and it's been seeded and is growing and is not really part of this plan, other than that it will be mowed once a year. Not the wetland itself, but the buffer zone around it. The areas that are brown are a mixture of shrubs and perennials from the list that we just looked at. And then the little tiny green areas are lawn, and that will be maintained and cut regularly as a place to have programs for kids and maybe outdoor story time, things like that. And each one of these areas is maintained a little bit differently, particularly in the beginning when they're getting started. The contractor will seed all of this, all of the seeded areas, the highway department and they're responsible for keeping it alive for the first year. The town takes over responsibility after that. Most of these, and they will, I understand, bring in some sort of temporary irrigation system after it's seeded to make sure that it stays alive. And then that will leave after the first year, and we will be responsible for all watering after that. And there are water spigots in 3 different locations on the building, and we'll have to do hand watering after that starts. And I don't know if you can see on the plan, there are lots of little gray circles. And those are trees or shrubs that are dotted throughout the site. And again, the contractor will install all of the trees that are on the outer edges of the area that's seeded, so that those will go in by the time the building is complete. And they are responsible for keeping those plants watered and alive for the first year. And then the town takes over responsibility for keeping them alive after that, and also for watering them. After the building is complete, the town, and that's a group of volunteers with the assistance of the highway department, will plant all the perennials and shrubs in the dark brown areas around the building and in the turnaround for the driveway. And volunteers will take care of those in the same way that a group of volunteers takes care of the plantings at Town Hall, the existing library, and in front of the highway department berm. So we're pretty well organized at doing that. And I've been part of that group for the past, I don't know, 14 years. So some of us are going to age out at some point, but we're good for a few more years. And I mean, that's really the crux of it.
Okay, so, when is construction starting? So you said the the ribbon cutting is August 2nd. I'm just
Right.
wondering, well, when some of the plantings would be going in, and then they'd have a year of,
They won't go in until, well, I don't know, Mary Ann, do you know the
Yeah.
sequence of work?
Right, so I think the plantings, so they're the first order of business is gonna be to get the building, the slab foundation in, and then the exterior of the building done so that they can work on it in the winter. And then the landscaping will be done after that. So I would think that seeding and any planting that the contractor is responsible for will be done next spring. So construction, so we have a signed contract with the contractor. Now they're working on getting the building permit, and then we expect them to sort of mobilize by the middle of July. But that may not mean that you actually see things happening at the site. It might be us having a bunch of meetings. But we will have started. And then the groundbreaking ceremony is August 2nd, and that's a symbolic thing. That doesn't really,
Right.
other than us sort of each putting a shovel into the ground, it's really more of a symbolic thing. We're not going to accomplish anything that day other than,
other than have a little party. Yeah.
right, right.
And it's a time to thank our representatives who have supported this, and the MBLC who has supported this project, and the architect, and et cetera, et cetera.
And all the people in town.
And all the people in town who have
Yeah.
supported it in many ways.
Yes.
So, that's sort of what I thought, Mary Ann, that it would likely be next spring.
Right.
Before
Right.
any seeds go in or any trees go in.
Right.
Scott?
Yeah, thanks. And thanks, Penny, for presenting all that. I was wondering for the meadow, the grasses that you were looking to establish there. And you have the no-mow fescue, and then you have the warm season plantings, and you make reference to mowing those. And I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on what your plans are for mowing. I didn't see that in there. It said that the no-mow fescue would be mowed 3 times a year, and but I didn't see anything else about your plan for the rest of that.
I think there is more information. Well, the turf area near the building, as I said, will be mowed pretty regularly. The warm season meadow, which is the septic area. Let's see. It says the desired effect is to allow these species to grow to a mature height of 2 to 3 feet. The grass species planted will mature in the second growing season, They usually don't start growth until late spring. Da, 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 da. Okay. My understanding is this would be mowed once a year. And typically they're mowed in the fall. I think what I wrote for long-term meadow management mowing, and that really includes all of this, is the highway department will mow the meadows in either late November or mid-April, depending on favorable conditions. And in my mind, that is dry soil that can be driven on without any compaction. I know the commission has sometimes specified mowing in the winter, but I feel it's unreasonable to ask the highway department to mow in the winter when they're all geared up to plow. I think their time is much more available in the fall. From being out on the site this year, I think mowing in the spring is a challenge because it was wet until, I don't know, Marianne, May. I don't think, I don't think I would have wanted to drive a riding mower or the tractor mower out there most of the spring. I think the conditions for mowing in general are much better in the fall. I would say if they weren't suitable in the fall, then you would do it in the spring at the earliest time that you could do it without damaging the soil.
I think in looking at that, and I like the idea of dormant seeding. I know we actually had some of the best results seeding just over, we used to broadcast seed over the snow, and in the late winter, early spring, and the challenge is trying to get those seeds in, very shallow so that they actually germinate. I do think, just for consideration, annual mowing is, I don't know if that would be the best to establish those warm season grasses. I think especially when you're mowing in the fall, you're disrupting the ability of the plant to reseed itself, and so I didn't see that, and I did see that it might be mowed in the fall, but I didn't know if that was planned every year. So in general, I think less mowing is better.
Yeah, I take issue with you on that, Scott. I've managed a field on our property for 30 years now, and it's amazing how many trees we mow down every year.
I would agree with you in terms of setting back succession. It's important to be able to mow it. I'm just saying, if part of setting back succession is establishing what you want there, which is just as, or maybe more important than trying to get rid of what you don't want. And so I have some experience managing grasslands as well. And I just pointing out there that annual mowing, I think you're likely to get more invasives and weeds, and I think you'll maybe be disappointed with those results.
So just for clarification, Scott, when you're talking about this, so what we've been talking about so far is the more managed area that is currently depicted as within the limit of work. Is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about the broader field area? Because
I'm talking about your warm season, your brown area.
Okay, so the warm season grass is over the septic system. And my understanding is that you need to mow it annually as part of maintenance of a septic system, a raised septic system site.
that I can see not having woody vegetation on your septic system. I don't know if annual mowing is required there or not. I'm just telling you.
And I don't know the answer to that. I can only tell you what I was told when I inquired about that, from the landscape architect. I mean, I can ask again about that, but, and see if I can find out more information.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, especially in the wetland areas too.
Well, yeah, but this is not the wetland. This is.
Yeah.
Part of it's in the buffer zone, part of it's in the upland.
Right. Yep. So I guess I would be referring to the jurisdictional buffer areas where I think some of the seeding of the grassland was mitigation for impacts
Right.
area. I'm just saying less disturbance is a good thing.
Okay, well, we should talk more about that because that's, you may know more about this than I do. I will say from looking at the meadow now, the invasive plants in the past 3 years since it has not been mowed have spread dramatically. So there's bittersweet throughout that field at this point, and multiflora rose and burning bush and a number of other things that I don't recall from long ago, 5 years ago. So I don't, I'm no expert here. I don't have a definitive answer. I'm just telling you what my personal observation has been over the handful of years that I've been spending a lot of time on that site. So other questions? I will inquire, Scott, of the landscape architects and see what they have to say about mowing. I'm thinking about, I think the stormwater basins have to be mowed every year to keep them functioning properly. And my understanding is the mix of grasses they're suggesting for this low meadow area, which is sort of the pea green color, are recommended to be mown annually as well, but I will ask more. I see Bob has his hand up, and it looks like you're driving.
It's a simulator, don't worry. And obviously you said they've come up and grown, and I just wondered what component of that you have the contractors at first, and then the town is taking it over. What is the plan for monitoring and taking care of the invasive plants?
Well, I think that is included within the invasive plant plan that we provided already. I mean, we will do long-term thing.
Okay.
And honestly, when construction begins, some of those big clumps of trees that are coming out are full of bittersweet in particular, but glossy buckthorn is in there, and a variety of other things. So those,
Multiflora rose,
yeah, multiflora rose. So those will
barberry.
at least leave the site temporarily. We'll see what happens over the long haul, but I think it's going to be an ongoing effort to keep things at bay.
Yeah, it seems to me the combination of the maintenance plan
Thank you.
with the invasive species plan kind of covers it in terms of having it be kept in good condition. I think it's going to be great. I like that for pesticides, you've got use of chemical controls within the OR will be reviewed and approved by the Conservation Commission. So if that ever comes up, it would have to come back to us.
Right, I mean, that's very different than what the landscape architect stated in the original document. So I pulled back a lot on that.
I mean, and that's the kind of thing you'd have to hire someone to do anyway, aren't most pesticides?
Yeah,
I
I
guess
mean,
there's
I
some,
think our highway department superintendent has a
Oh.
pesticide, or he had a pesticide license. I think he's in the process of renewing that. So he could do that. But hopefully it won't come to that. I mean, hopefully with what we have done initially and, volunteer digging and pulling, hopefully we can manage things without any more pesticides. That would be my preference. I think everyone's preference.
yeah, oh, definitely. And even the liquid fertilizer, the chemical fertilizers, if we can
Yeah,
limit any of that, would be limiting all of that is great.
yes, well, and again, that was the words of the landscape architect, and I expect that we won't really be doing much of that. And the commission could say we won't, as far as I'm concerned.
And I'm trying to remember we can look back at the order of conditions and see what, I remember we kind of made tweaks to those conditions.
You did make some comments about that, and I'd have to go back and look at that again. I know I looked at that when I was making some revisions in this plan, to try and make it more in line with the statement that you had in the order of conditions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just can't recall exactly what it said. I feel like we referred to the eventual invasive management plan that would be coming. We sort of said, we would approve use of pesticide, we would have to come through the invasive management plan and the maintenance plan, I think was what we said.
I think the modifications, as I recall, I think originally they were drafted that they would prohibit the use of any herbicides within the resource areas, and we modified that to allow for the use of herbicides in accordance with the invasive species management plan for the reasons, Penny, that you had talked about with, I mean, there are a lot of invasives there. So not to tie the hands, of you all as managers, to be able to use a more of an integrated pest management approach to addressing them.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think when we went over the invasive management plan, we definitely were okay with using those kind of chemicals with the invasives because it's the only way to really get rid of them. But sort of in the general maintenance of all these other areas, if we can really try and limit it and not.
Well, I think that is our intent, and I think at least I tried to modify the language in here.
Yeah, you did.
To reflect that, which that isn't how it was stated when the original plan was provided to us.
And it's how we manage our own properties, like we don't, I don't use herbicides at my house at all. And like never once. And we might, very judiciously use some fertilizers on certain plants, but they're organic fertilizers. But on this, it's, it's so much of it is so close to that resource area. And we're not kind of going for that kind of look where we want a certain bush to flower, right? Like in the way that we used to garden. And this is going to be, our goal is a sort of a more natural setting.
It's Shutesbury. It's got to
Right.
look like Shutesbury.
Right, right,
And
right.
I think the fact that all the plants that are being put in are native plants means you don't even need those things
Right,
Right.
in general. Yeah.
All right. Well, it looks good to me. Tanya, oh, sorry, Penny, were you still presenting?
No. So Scott, it sounds like you would like me to ask a few more questions. Maybe it would be helpful if you would email me what those are, just to make sure I ask what you want to know.
I think what I was just asking about, I couldn't tell what the mowing regime was gonna be. I think what I heard from you, Penny, is it's gonna be annual, that the whole site would be mowed at least annually. The turf areas are being mowed more frequently, but the rest of the meadow and the warm season area would be mowed every year.
Right, eventually, I think, if I remember correctly, there's a fairly lengthy description in there about mowing let me find it again. Oh,
Are you looking for mowing the, I just had it,
so
the
on-
meadow mowing
on
on page 7?
on page 7, it talks about mowing the meadow, and this is about the new meadow that's being installed that we're talking about. Mowing the meadow is an important management practice during the first growing year. Mowing favors perennial meadow species over annual weeds. The first mowing should start when the tallest grass is 12 inches, likely mid-June. Mow to a height of 6 inches to cut actual weed flowers, heads, seed heads. Continue mowing into October. This is the first year. And then refrain from mowing after October until the next year. And after that, I think it goes on to an annual schedule. But I guess there's some art to getting the plants you want established in that first year, at least according to the landscape architect.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that. I think what I'm understanding from you is that after they're established, you're going to be mowing every year. I think my only comment on that is I just encourage you to think about a less frequent mowing schedule, and if you are going to be mowing, to really think about, for the invasive piece of it, the sterilization of the mowing equipment when it's coming through, and how you're mowing it, because that can be actually a bigger source of spreading invasives than actually controlling invasives.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I thought about that with regard to knotweed.
Yes. Yeah, you and I talked about that, but I could give you lots of papers and studies on that, but there's how things are mowed. A lot of times the equipment itself is, you're exposing soil and you're spreading seeds, and
Yep,
think
got it.
about it. That's I understand the reason, like it makes us feel good because it knocks all that stuff down, but it actually can make it worse.
Okay, I'd actually be interested if you could send me some information on that.
Sure.
And then we could see, once we get rid of that bittersweet, that has really taken over that meadow along the stone wall. And then we're planning to put plugs in, of appropriate wetland wildflowers. But I think it actually calls for a mix, doesn't it? It calls for a mix of
What April
wetland and upland
specified was
species.
a
Right.
mix of both upland and wetland.
Right. Right. And and then we'll monitor it, and it's gonna be kind of like I think there are a lot of people very interested in this, and it's gonna be a hobby. And like yesterday, there were 3 of us who worked on the restoration that we did on the east side of the property on enhancing that. And it was, we put plants in this time. We put seed too, but we put plants in, and so I think it's going to be that same kind of thing. And then we'll monitor it and see how it goes. And really the goal is gonna be to really drastically reduce that bittersweet up front there. Because if we don't, then it's just gonna be bittersweet. And so we have to get it out of there, which we have a plan, and then replace it with plugs, and a lot of them. So. Like hundreds,
Yeah.
right, Penny? Like,
I
it's
think
gonna-
what we specified was, 3 flats and each
Right.
flat is 50 plants of
Right.
wetland plugs and 3 flats of upland plugs.
Mhm. Yeah,
300 plants.
yeah.
Fine, well, maybe by next spring I'll have more time and I can help you.
That would
Yeah,
be fun.
great.
Yes,
That would be a lot of fun.
it would be.
Talked
It is
about
fun. Yeah.
putting the plugs in BVW1 this year, but I think we would be much better off putting them in early spring next year when we have subdued the invasives out there and before the grasses get too tall. It's almost impossible to walk out there right now. You know, the grasses are up to your chest. So
And the bittersweet is up to your chest.
you know, the bittersweet is over your head.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
So do you guys feel like you have what you need to sign off on the building permit? I know we were required to submit these 3 plans. It sounds like we may want to discuss a little bit more long-term mowing on this, which of course we are happy to do.
Yeah, I'm good with approving this maintenance plan with sort of a agreement that you're gonna change that mowing after looking into it a little bit and talking, I guess, with Scott maybe a little bit.
Okay.
We already approved the invasive
Right,
species management plan. Tonight we can just approve the native plant list. Sure, and so I think then everything has been submitted and approved under the order of conditions that needed to be prior to approving a building permit.
right. Although you did specify submitting plans, not approving plans in the order, so. But I think they're all approved anyway.
Well, if they approve this one.
They approved this one, right?
Right.
Right. Then you've submitted everything, right? Yep. Yeah. So then, yeah, so you guys are, yeah, you're gonna be getting your building permit into the system to be approved by everybody, yeah. That's
Right.
so exciting.
Yeah, so Marianne, I don't know what the timeline is. I'm thinking it's by the end of this month that it may be.
Yeah, soon. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
yes.
Yeah, I right now, I'm happy to approve these things tonight, and then I can take another look at the order of conditions and let you guys know if there's anything else that we would still need before, basically saying that everything that was required under the order to be submitted prior to construction is there, and then we can approve the building permit. So I'll
Okay.
take a look at that.
It'd be great if you could do that perhaps within the next week or so
Absolutely.
in all your free time.
You have no idea. My life is so insane. All right, so do any commissioners have any other comments or questions, or do we feel like we're ready to approve the maintenance plan?
Yes, I move to approve the maintenance plan.
All right, second?
I'll second.
All right, so I guess we're approving it with the thought that Penny's gonna look a little bit into the mowing question and maybe make an adjustment, but we're
And
approving the fact that
And
she's gonna
Scott
do
will send me some information to help with that.
it. Okay, great. All right, Douglas,
Aye.
Con, Rowan,
Aye.
and Wilson, aye. All right,
Well,
thank you.
Thanks for working through all of this with us. It's exciting to be at this point.
It is, and thank you for putting all the plans together, because I think in the end it makes it a better project.
Yeah.
It
well,
does.
Okay.
It does. I think we're all going to be very proud of the landscaping. It's going to look, instead of, you know, I don't know, just it's just such a mosh of, that grove of Christmas trees that are all grown together that, at one point looked nice, but now look terrible. And it's just going to be beautiful, and then there's so much bittersweet and that's all going to be gone. And there's going to be a beautiful building with a little bit of nice grounds around it and then a beautiful meadow. And I think we're going to be thrilled. So.
Yeah, and then and knowing that it's, Shrewsbury doesn't have that many buildings to maintain landscaping on. I think
Right.
this one is one that for years and years, everybody's gonna maintain
Yes.
it in a
Yes.
very nice way.
Well, right. And the highway department does maintain the, they maintain all of the town common and the area around town hall, although there's a lot of invasives there now too. But we have this awareness and this intention of at least reducing the invasives there and keeping it that way and having it be just something we can all focus on together and sort of the beginning of that, because there are invasives all over town that we could really be going after, and some of us are actually going after. So you might be hearing more about that too. So yes.
Well, great. That all
Yeah.
sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you all.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. All right.
Good
Thanks
night.
so much.
All right. All right. Item number 4 is 70 Lake Drive, NOI DEP file 286-0306, and this is a continuation of a public hearing. And I see Mark. Are you- Yeah, so I guess so I can tell people that we did a site visit. Oh, Bob, you have your hand up?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to recuse myself as I'm a direct abutter of the project.
All right, okay, thanks. Jan and I did a site visit last week out to see the site, and Jan, do you want to provide a little summary of the site visit?
Yeah, Mark showed us around. It's a pretty clean, straightforward project. It only requires a couple of, maybe 4 helical piles to be drilled to support the deck and the deck conversion to a mudroom and a porch. And it's a fairly simple extension on the deck. It's all, it's pretty straightforward.
It is. And I think so, Scott, you were not here for last week's meeting.
I wasn't, but I did watch the video, so I'm up to speed.
You did, okay, because yeah, I think Mark, you gave a pretty good presentation of the entire project last week. We looked at the plans and everything. I don't know, Mark, do you want to just do a quick summary again of it all, just to refresh our minds a little bit? You don't have to go through everything, but.
So if I can get this right, I'll do a start screening share. And say share. Is that visible?
Yep.
Okay, so what we have here is an existing deck. And this is the house, this is the deck here and here. A set of stairs going down to the the lower level. So what we're trying to do is make the house more handicap accessible. Currently, the house doesn't have any 3-foot doors to get into it. And so we're trying to add a 3-foot door into a mudroom, which will be on the same level as the existing house. And at the same time, add a porch on the same level as the existing house. The stairs will be removed, and so basically we're gonna just, square this whole section off here. We're gonna put in 3 helical piles here and 1 helical pile at this point. We're gonna reuse the piles, the existing concrete piles that are supporting the stairs, and some of the patio, or some of the porch area, or the deck area here. Beneath the deck is you can see it right here in the outline, is a Goshen stone patio that won't be disturbed. Will take care of most of the water coming off the roof, because it's effectively, it's got a foot of gravel below it, and it's effectively a dry well. We also have a dry well out in this area. So any additional water that comes off the gutters will go down here, and some water that comes off the mudroom here will go under, will be routed onto this grassy area here. So, which is all in place. Nothing's got to change. That's kind of it in a nutshell. We'll put a silt fence in here, although it's, there's almost going to be no ground disturbance because we're using the helical piles, which will just be drilled in. That's it in a nutshell. Any questions?
All right. Thanks. I don't have any questions. I think I may have asked something at the last meeting, so I'm fine. Jan or Scott, you guys have any questions?
No,
I don't either. So it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it does. I think, Mark, you had said equipment would most likely be driving around in front.
Yeah, it depends on the size of the equipment. We have a 4-foot fence over here that they can go through. And we have an 8-foot fence on this side that they can literally go down and drive around and come up over all, well-established lawns or grass. And so there should be, I don't think there's any disturbance at all of any of the activity, of any of the grass areas here. And the silt fence will take care of anything that comes up here, which again should be minimal.
Okay. All right, well, it sounds good to me. All right, so if there's no other questions, I suppose, are there any questions from the public? And Mark, can you stop sharing?
Okay.
So I can see if there really isn't any public at the meeting anyway, so, but Bob has his hands up. Bob?
Sure, I'd like to comment as a member of the public.
Ah.
The construction techniques seem to be very sound. Helical piers is the minimum of digging. The DEP is currently under regulation changes to make it easier to put handicapped accessibility into public spaces. So I think this is not a public space, but entirely consistent with the kind of work. So as a resident, I support the project.
Thank you. All right, if there are no more comments from the commission or the public, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
so motioned.
Second?
Second.
All right. Rowan,
Aye.
Khan,
Aye.
and Wilson, aye. All right, so Mark, we need to put together the order of conditions, which I think I'll put that together and bring it to the next meeting. And if you can come to the next meeting, which is July 11th, we'll just quickly go through that order of conditions. And issue it definitely at that meeting, if that works.
Okay, no, sounds good.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for presenting.
All right, thank you all. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Next on our agenda is to talk a little bit more about the bylaw and the regulations after our big meeting last night. I guess my thought is that, yeah, we should just keep going with it. And this is just one potential plan would be that, you know, right now, we divide it up by section and kind of review it in sections. And I was thinking the first section and the third section right now, which is the introduction and where's my sorry. Introduction and the general provisions. So skipping definitions at this point. So I was thinking if between now and our next meeting, if people would want to go through those two sections, so it's Article 1 and Article 3. And then I guess I pose a question to you guys. Do you want to kind of have little discussions built into our regular meetings, as long as our meetings aren't really long? Like say all of a sudden we have a meeting where we have 3 NOIs coming or something, then maybe at that meeting we don't include it in the agenda, or even if it's on the agenda, we just don't talk about it that night. It could just be something that's just continually on our agendas for a while. And so like the meeting on July 11th, we could, when we get to that point, it'd always be kind of at the bottom of the agenda. We just talk as a group about those two sections, Article 1 and Article 3, and talk about what people's concerns are about them. And does that sound like a way to approach it, Bob?
Yeah, speaking just for myself, I think that's a good way to approach it. Sometimes when you dig into the regulations over a long period of time, it's easy to get burnt out on them. So I think that might be a way to keep them fresh.
Yeah, I think we should dig into them right away while they're kind of on people's minds. But at the same time, I don't want us to all of a sudden like go through the whole 90-page thing all at once either. You know, I think dividing it into sections like that makes it more digestible for everybody, and everybody's busy, you know.
I like
know
the
what-
sound of that. I
You
like
like
it a lot. The only thing that I would request is that maybe you send us all whatever version we're gonna start with.
Right, yeah, I haven't, Miriam has, I mean, we just talked to her last night, so I'm assuming she's gonna send me kind of this final version from last night's few changes that we made. Hopefully, I would hope by the beginning of next week.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll get that to you guys, and then, I mean, do you guys think doing Article 1 and Article 3 is doable by next meeting? Article 1 is actually relatively short. It's kind of the introduction, and it just covers jurisdiction and that kind of thing. And then Article 3 is a little bit longer, but it's not huge.
Yeah,
Yeah. Scott, what do you think?
I like that approach of doing it, kind of chunking it up. So that sounds good to me.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I think it'll be able to fit into our regular meetings for a bit. If it starts getting where we're just not talking about it because our meetings are so long, then maybe we actually set up special working meetings, you know, in addition to our regular ones, just to get through it and get it done. I mean, in the end, we've all put a lot into this even before now. So there really shouldn't be too much left to kind of clean up a little bit, you know? So, great. Well, that sounds like a plan. I like that plan. I can't wait to get them just approved. And so we have our working bylaw and working regulations kind of on the books. So that's all I had on that. I thought last night went pretty well. I thought it was good. All right, and for site visits and scheduling, I don't think, Carrie, we don't have any new any new applications come in that we need to do site visits before July 11th?
No, but I think in a recent email we received a building permit for 9 Birch Street Road. I can't remember what it's called. But actually the homeowner did call me right before I left asking what the practice is for that, and I informed him that I would inform the commission tonight at their meeting that he has building permit that he's looking to get signed, and that I would assume that you would need to do a site visit in order to sign off.
Yeah, let me take a look at it sometimes. So I usually go in and look at those building permits things in the building and that whole system where you can go in and look, and there's usually site plans and things in there already. So I will look into it and see, and if we need to do one, I'll let Jan know. Thank you. So that might be our only site visit between now and then. We kind of, things have slowed down a little bit. I think our July 11th meeting is gonna be quiet, which is very nice. I like quiet. All right, so I don't have anything else. Does anybody else have anything?
Do we keep track of any projects as they're going along?
You mean projects that have been permitted?
Yeah. Do we wait until the owner contacts us again before we go and have another look for any reason?
It kind of depends on the project. If it's a project, for example, like the culvert under Locks Pond Road, when that was going on, we did a number of construction site visits. Miriam mostly did a lot of them. Just to, because larger projects like that have many more issues with erosion control. And you do want to do more site visits. So I think it's kind of project dependent almost. There's obviously the initial inspection of erosion control. I guess that's kind of, it's, you just kind of have to.
Well, for example, I'm wondering about Dudleyville.
Yes.
Do they press the launch button and then we know they're doing stuff, or?
Yeah, they'll let us know. So I haven't finished that emergency cert yet. I've started working on it. I'm hoping to get it to them like the beginning of next week. I reached out to them and said that it's a big ask to it for an emergency cert for that kind of a thing. And so they understand why it's taking a little longer to kind of put it together. But I mean, yeah, certainly. So any project, it's written in the order of conditions that before any construction can start, erosion control has to be installed and we have to inspect it. So, the project really can't start until we come and inspect where the erosion control is and that it's been installed appropriately. So that's kind of how we get contacted about the beginnings of projects.
Oh, okay.
That's a good example though of a project that I feel like we would want to visit a few times during construction.
And it's a short season there for them. Okay.
Right, and they are supposedly going to do it really quickly.
Right.
Guess that makes it easier for us because we go out during that month that they're supposed to complete everything, go out a few times. Yeah. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Carrie?
Another thing I was gonna add is that so typically, yeah, like the landowners should reach out. But if it's been kind of like quiet, that Excel sheet that I made keeps track of when permits expire. So if you happen to look at it and notice that, oh, that this expired, or about to expire, and we haven't heard anything, you could always reach out. As well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I that would be something I hope that the new land use clerk, we can work with him on those spreadsheets that Carrie's created, and once he gets a little familiar with the Wetlands Protection Act and our regulations, that's the kind of thing would be great for him to take note of, is just every now and then look and see, oh, there's an order of conditions that's about to expire and it doesn't even look like, anything's been done. than reaching out to the applicant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, all right. Well, if there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
I
So
would like to
motion-
make a motion to adjourn.
There you go.
Second?
I second.
Okay, Douglas,
Aye.
Con,
Aye.
and Merwin,
Aye.
and Wilson. Aye. All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thanks. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right.
Good night.